Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and I'm down here in these amazing studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Michaud. Oh, man. We are taping, and it is May 16th. It is May 16th when I am taping this right here. And last night, I had a moment, an epiphany, if you will, of an idea for a solo episode. It's been a while since I've done a solo. From time to time, I will come on here and I will just either give you some pearls of wisdom that I've come across or maybe just some perspective, whatever that might be. And it's been a while because I've had a lot of amazing guests. One of the great things and the humbling things about the Motivate with Coach Camp podcast is that it has got a little bit of reach now. People reach out to me and they ask about being a guest, or they ask about someone else being a guest because they have either a really cool story or it's a topic that they're interested in. And I love that. I really do. And so it's been a while because I just really haven't had a break in action. But last night, as many of you know, I am a professor at Southwest Tennessee Community College, your best choice. And I'm sitting at the Southwest graduation. And as I'm watching all of these young people, not all of them young, by the way. I'm going to put an age. I don't know the actual age, but there was this one guy. I'm going to say he's probably like 60, which is not too old because I'm about to be 52, but he's 60 walking across the stage getting an associate's degree. And he's so proud. And I'm thinking to myself, I know that feeling. Age does not have to matter in accomplishments. Your life is not over until you take your last breath. Keep grinding, keep pushing, keep being the best version of you. That's what I tell folks, and that's what I believe in. And so last night when I'm watching this and I see some of the young people just gleaming, they are dancing on the stage literally as they go get their diploma. The crowd's going nuts. We're over at the Lander Center. It hits me. And it is, how about sharing some moments that maybe I would have liked, or some thoughts or some words even, just put it into perspective, get an idea planted in there, just a nice seed of things maybe I would have liked to have been told, or things I could have maybe thought about when I was that age, coming out of high school, going into the world. And I wrote down quite a few things here. So I'm going to ask, just sit down, relax, maybe even take out a tape recorder if you got those things. Remember the kind you hit the play and the record at the same time, bloop, and you tape it on a cassette tape. I'm going to take you back that far. I want you guys to tape this, listen to this, play it back. I think you're going to find a lot of value in it. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to have a quick second to let you guys know how much it means to me that you are my sponsor. SRP Studios, The Real Hernando, The Rhythm Section, Hardwick, Heating, Cooling, and Air Quality, Estes, Grading, Hodge Homes, Adair, Honey Farm, Miss Hippie Eats, Phones R Us, Ross, Sod Farms and Landscaping, Ivy Rain, Women's Clinic, Tonic POS by Tyler Young, and Coffee Central. Thank you guys so much for being a sponsor. If you'd like to be a sponsor, go to my website now, motivatecoachcamp.com, and click on the button. Thank you. So when I was watching these graduates last night, I thought about some of the pieces of life advice that I have received over the years and how that played into my life personally, and then how I've been able to use moments in my life to reflect on, to share that with other people, to help them grow, to help them feel like that what they're going through or what they're seeing for their future, whatever that vision is, it is a possibility even whenever you have setbacks. So here we go. I want to discuss with you the value of trying. We're going to start there. I'm going to give you a whole list of things. It may be a little bit in and out of order depending on how you want to view how things probably should fall in order, but I'm going to finish with the three most important ingredients you must have, though, to be successful in this world. So the first thing I want to talk about is the value of trying. When I saw those students walking across the stage last night, and they were all celebrating and extremely happy. They had gotten, who knows, they had gotten degrees maybe in computer science, or maybe someone was in criminology. A couple of them were in some kind of applied science. Here's the deal. That may not even be what direction they go in. Because that was me. And that was the first thing that I saw, was the idea that you tried something, you went all in, and here you are at this precipice, this finish line for that moment, and you may look at it and say to yourself, I don't feel prepared. You may look at it and say, maybe I don't love this. But for some, they feel like they're so invested that they can't change course. And that got me to thinking about this. And that's why I want to share it. And that is the value of trying. When you are doing something, you're going all in, you're learning about something, you're not wasting that time. You're actually putting building blocks into your future that you could use that may end up translating in a lot of ways. For me, coming out of high school, I really didn't have a great game plan as to what I wanted to do in life. So when I went down to Northwest Mississippi Community College, I got into criminal justice. I thought I would try something. I thought, well, maybe law enforcement could be something. I'm a very energetic person. I want to be involved in helping others. So let me just go down this path. So for 2 years, I studied criminal justice and I got to the finish line and I graduated. And funny enough, as I'm graduating with my associate's degree, I'm really not feeling it. I'm not saying that I'm not going to try, but I'm like, I don't know if I feel it yet. So I was actually going to go in the military as military police, but things changed for me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go in the military. I'm going to get some other experiences. And this is the value of trying. So now I have this experience of being able to grind and go through college and have a little bit of fun too during those first couple of years. I went into the military for 4 years. During that time, I got into doing things that was kind of a production label. So I was doing, it was called database analyst. And I was keeping up with statistics for the F-15. During that time, I actually got another associate's degree. It was in production management. I thought maybe when I get out, maybe I will use this. Maybe I'll go to an airport somewhere. Maybe I will work for the U.S. government as a civilian. I didn't know exactly, but I knew that I wanted to invest in the education part. So I did. And then as I got out, I chose I did not like that. But all of those moments matter because I was building stuff within me that I was going to be able to use later. It was the value of trying something, to going in. The truth is, I would always rather have had an idea, a vision, a thought, a feeling, and then go for it, and then realize I don't want to do that, than always wonder if I should have. That's the beauty of life. You only have this one shot at it. So you should try things if you have an interest in it, but it's also okay to redirect. And I'm going to hit on that a little bit later. So when I get out of the Air Force now, I am introduced to firefighting. And I realize you need to have some kind of EMS background. And that's what got me down the road of being an EMT and then eventually being a paramedic and then eventually being a firefighter, which if many of you know my history, I was a firefighter paramedic for a long time until I retired from the Memphis Fire Department. Absolutely my passion. Absolutely loved it. And that is why I teach paramedicine today as we speak. That's why I'm a professor at Southwest. So what I would tell you guys is try stuff. And I didn't lose any of the things that I didn't end up doing because I learned a lot along the way that actually helped me become better as I became a paramedic. So that's good. That's awesome. Now, let's look at the next thing. Everything that you do has that value. That only matters if you're paying attention, because if you're not thinking about it, you probably will lose it. But I look back on those moments. I look back on that grind. I look back on the things that were going on in my life as I was trying to work towards that goal. And that actually gave me strength. So whenever I faced some difficulties down the road, whether it was with jobs or whether it was with family life, whatever it was, I was able to push through because I had that in my arsenal now. And I was learning something along the way. So what I didn't do was waste failures. Whenever I didn't accomplish something that I wanted, or I came up short, I look back on that and I thought about how was it I failed and was it worth my time? If you're not learning from your failures, you are wasting your opportunities. So I'm going to say to you, embrace your failures, young people. Embrace them, learn from them, and recognize that if it's something you really wanted, it's only truly a failure when you quit trying, because otherwise it's just a reset. It's just a learning moment. Opposition becomes opportunity. That's the way you have to look at life. And that's what I did, because I wasn't always 100% successful at everything I did. But what I did do was learn from it, because the idea is that you don't want to make the same mistakes and you want to use those other mistakes to make you stronger. So let's move on to the next thing. All right. Going into something, whether it's school, whether it's sports, whether it's a relationship, I'm going to challenge you guys to do this. Always try to give your best. 100% of you, whatever it is you're doing. Think about this for a second. If you're willing to spend your time, and some things, of course, cost money. If you're willing to spend your money, why would you give anything less than your absolute best? Now, do you owe that to someone else? I say this all the time when I go speak to high school students. Of course, I speak to college students regularly. And I say, do you owe someone else your best? Sometimes they will say yes. And I'll say, well, who do you really owe your best to? And every time, everybody, the light bulb goes on and they're like, owe it to me. It's in a recognition moment. Why would you sell yourself short? Because I can count on this in my life. Other people will sell me short. Other people will sell you short. But you should never sell yourself short. You know, I've always said that you only start to become those failures in life, or you lack those things that other people see, if you believe it. The moment you start believing in yourself and what is possible, and you grind towards those things that you desire, everybody else's voice will start to fade. It's only the voice in your head that matters the most about who you are becoming, what you're able to do, what is possible for your future. This is real talk, people. This is real talk. You know what I'm saying? That's how I got to where I'm at today. Now, people could say that it's not necessarily successful, but I would disagree because I've experienced life in such a broad spectrum. And that was by intent, because I was not going to sit back and listen to other people's ideas about what I could and could not do. I was going to push forward, and I was going to try to become the best person that I could be in the time that I have on this earth, which is not long for any of us. It doesn't matter if you live to be 200 years old, which is not a thing, but if you could, it's still short in comparison. So always give your best, because you are worth it. Now let's move to the next part. This is crucial on so many levels. Having been a part of teams, baseball teams, having been a coach, having been in the military, having been on the fire department, now being a teacher, I'm going to tell you, if you ever come across a person that says, do as I say, not as I do, I'm going to tell you that is not a leader. What is worse to me is a person that actually knows what they're talking about when they're giving you advice, but they choose not to take their own good advice. That's a person that's too lazy to invest in themselves. To me, that's an individual that is saying, hey, I know how to be successful. I'm choosing not to do it, but you should listen to me. That person's not a leader. If you believe in something so much so that you're going to invest that into somebody else's ideas, thoughts, what their life process should be, I'm going to tell you, you should be living by example. You always need to lead by example. One of the examples I like to do for my students, I harp on being on time in my classroom, okay? 9 a.m. is when class starts. It's not 9:05. It's not 9:04. It's not 9:01. It is 9 o'clock. Boom. I start teaching. Let's go. 9 o'clock. If you're there early, we'll start early. We'll finish early. But 9 o'clock is when we're going. And I will have students stroll in at 9:01, 9:02. And I will give them a tardy right there to them. And I'll say, look, you're late. You're losing points for your lab grade, and you're getting a tardy. And I've had some pushback. I even had a student once say, you're telling me that I'm late for 60 seconds? 60 seconds. My question was, can 60 seconds be the difference in a person living or dying? Because remember, I am teaching EMS. I will tell you the classroom was pretty quiet in this moment because it was in front of everybody because they wanted to push back in front of folks. I typically don't chastise or correct in front of the entire group unless you create the moment. This person did. Of course, people say yes, because the reality is, yes, seconds matter. I said, you don't want to be on the ambulance service that says when seconds count, we're minutes away. Or, hey, we tried. I want you to give your best all the time. I want you to be ahead of the game. And when you expect that of yourself, others will start to feed from that. But you can't be late as the teacher and expect your students to be on time. So I have to lead by example. And so one of the things I like to do is at the end of the class, after I've harped on this the entire year, and everybody knows if you're walking in that classroom at 9:01, you're late. It only takes about 1 or 2 weeks and people understand this is real. This is not, he's on point with this. I will write on the board, I was late on purpose, and I'll put down the projector so nobody can see it. And then I come walking in the classroom 5 minutes late. Now, not every time, because sometimes the students are just so glad to be at the end of the semester. They really don't care when we start at that point. But most of the time, I will walk in, and immediately, what do you think the students do? They start jumping on Coach Camp. Oh, Coach, you're late. You're late. Oh, you sucking today. Why are you sucking? 2 things happen with that. One, I realized they were paying attention and they were invested in the idea. They understand the importance. The lesson had been taught. The second thing I do is I hit the button on the projector, and as it goes up and it says I was late on purpose, then I turn to the class and I let them know that is why you lead by example, because people are watching. People do care. And they want to see their leader doing the things they're expecting of them. Never ask something of someone else that you're not willing to do. That is so key. If you're not hearing this right now, wake up, bump your buddy next to you, tell him, say, hey, look at the camera. Camp's talking. Coach Camp's talking. Lead by example, my friends. Do the thing that you're asking others and do it as best you possibly can. That doesn't mean you're going to be better than other people, but you should try to be better than you each and every day you wake up. Are you feeling this message right now? I am. Come on, let's go. Don't let others determine your worth. That is my next line item. Do not let other people determine what you are worth. You're going to hear a lot of negativity. In today's world, it's so easy. All you got to do is click on your phone. There's social media everywhere. People telling you what you can and can't do. You post something that's positive and you like, and somebody's going to come in from behind and tell you how horrible it is. It happens to me all the time. When you put yourself out there, you better be ready for the negative comments. I said this when I started the podcast. One of the reasons why I chose positivity, besides the fact that that's what I am as positive, was that I knew it would be hard. I knew that I am also human and that people would come at me with all kinds of different angles and ideas and things that they would say, and they would try to be rude and they would try to tear you down and they want to see you go away. Why? Because they like being miserable and they want everyone else around them miserable. Well, that ain't going to work with me, pal. And that shouldn't work with you. Don't let other people determine that you're not worthy. You are worth it. You matter. You have a purpose. Stand up and start fighting today. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I'm bringing this fire. Look, I didn't spend the last 2.5 years behind a mic working with other people, working with my boy Derek to just come out here and try to pretend like I'm putting together a podcast. This podcast matters. I hear it too often from people everywhere. They need this encouragement. So understand something. You matter. I'm nobody different than you. I'm not doing something others can't do. All you got to do is take action. Take action and lead by example. Let's go. Come on. I'm about to preach. Somebody in the back stand up and say amen. Let's go. Here we go. Pursue the things that you choose to go after in life with an absolute passion. Because if you're not doing that, it's probably not something you're that interested in. If you can't have passion for it. Let me tell you a little something. A couple years ago, I knew that I wanted to get into public speaking. In fact, it's going on 4. It's actually going on 4 years now. I had been doing public speaking my whole life, but I wanted a more formal platform. I wanted to present a message, to be synonymous with an idea. When people saw positive speakers, motivational speakers, I wanted my name to be in the conversation. I wanted to be very intentional about it. And it wasn't because I needed fame or fortune or any of that, but it's because that was the passion I had. Look, let's face it, straight from the box. Coming right out of high school, knowing nothing about anything in life, not having any true direction and not knowing what I was going to become, I wanted to be a police officer. Why? Because I wanted to help people. That obviously was not my mojo, which is fine because I tried something and I went all in. But I learned a lot, even though that wasn't the direction I went in. So I'll go in the military. Why? Because I want to serve my country, because I know that other people came before me, and that's the only reason why I have these opportunities. So I wanted to give back. I wanted to be a part of the process. I had a heart that cared. I had compassion. When I get out and I'm connected to firefighting, it all clicks. Being a firefighter, being a paramedic, now you're helping on a very granular level. Now you are really in the trenches doing some things that matter and alter people's lives for the positive over and over. The opportunity was there and I wasn't going to lose it. I had a full passion. I was told coming out of the military, it's real hard to get on Memphis. You'll never get on Memphis. It's too much. Because back then, it was one of those jobs people didn't leave, and it was really hard to get on. We're talking in the 90s, 1990s. Very difficult to get on. I tried out, and I was told, go about your life, get a job, have a family. It may be a long time before you're ever called. They weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. They weren't lying. It was fact. So I come back down to Mississippi, I get my EMT basic, and I start working down here and eventually get my paramedic, which I worked in Mississippi for several years before finally getting the call to go to Memphis. But all those times people told me I couldn't, all I could think of is how can I put myself in a better position to make it happen? And I never gave up. And I kept fighting and I kept grinding and I kept trying to add layers and layers to helping me become a better person, but in the perspective of being a firefighter paramedic, give myself better leverage to be able to get hired, which eventually I did 3 years in. And then I went up there. Of course, I had a career, but it was the passion that drove me. And what I realized was I wasn't just pursuing a passion, I had a true purpose. And the purpose that I tied the passion to was helping other people. And never at any point along the way was I concerned about the paycheck. Now, granted, people have to make money. You have to be able to make a living. You have to be able to be sustainable. But I've said this so many times too, to friends, family alike. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you spend. And you can make a millionaire poor overnight if the person doesn't know how to spend their money appropriately. You got to be able to be a good steward of your money. And I learned that at a very early age. If I made $10, you don't go out and spend 11. It's simple. So I adjusted my lifestyle. I lived on some very humble means. I made very little money and many times on my way up the ladder. I worked 2, sometimes even 3 jobs. I was delivering pizzas. I was also working at Pizza Hut, waiting tables. I would work at a clothing store in the mall. This is after the military. I even got into limo driving for a period of time just to make some extra coin on the side. Why? Because I was pursuing my passion. You see, there's an idea that you do what you got to do to get where you want to be. Sometimes that takes a lot of sacrifice. That takes a lot of grind. And that takes a lot of faith. And that's what I never lost, was the faith that I could do it if I worked hard enough. And that's going to tie into the final part of this message today. So stay tuned. Do not tune out and go away. All right. If you have a little bit of overstimulation, if all this activity is getting you a little nervous, just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath for a minute. Because I'm really trying to deliver this message in a way that you are not lost in translation. Stay with me. You got to have passion. And when you tie your passion to your purpose, eventually you will find the paycheck you need. And that's what happened with me when I finally got to Memphis. Of course, started making more money than I ever made before. Back then, Memphis was the pinnacle of everything. But it was never about the paycheck. It was the passion that tied to the purpose. And that's what I want young people to understand. If you only pursue the paycheck, it is a very fickle thing. You will not be happy in life. I promise you, money will not make you happy. It will keep you sustained. But once the money goes away, what do? It is not the thing that you must pursue. True happiness comes through pursuing your passion. This is no different. You're looking at a person that I am spending money out of my pocket for 2.5 years. I have been spending my own money to produce this podcast that I know matters to other people. Why? Because I'm passionate about helping others, and I know this is my purpose. I know that I have an opportunity here. And I know that whatever that looks like, at some point, making money doing this will be fine. It will be there at some point. I have no doubt whatsoever, complete faith that this will come full circle. But it's not about the money. It is always about the purpose, and it's tied to my passion. So understand that I'm not telling you something that I'm not living. It goes back to that leadership quality I spoke of. Doing the thing that you're asking other people to believe in, you have to live it. And I'm doing that right here, right now, with this right here that we're talking. Now, next thing. Talked about faith several times. Look, let me tell you something. I got this circled up. You have to look at faith like this. Faith is that thing that you can't see, but you do trust and know that it's there. You have to have faith, okay? Spiritual faith is so important for me, but you have to have faith that whatever it is that you are passionate about, you're working hard towards it, that it will be successful because you won't give up. So when I think of faith is strength. And when you're doing this, also, you got to also consider that you have to be compassionate for others, whatever it is you're pursuing, that you're not stepping on other people to get to where you want to be, because compassion is priceless. Having compassion for others will also build your strength. It's all a full circle event. Faith builds strength. Compassion is priceless. And when you are compassionate, it will also give you faith. I've got news for you, my friends. I've lived this over and over and over. I'm doing it. So many times, just recently, this past year, okay, full disclosure, completely humbled by this. Don't expect it and don't think anything special about myself, but it is a testament. This past year, I have won a second award through my college. Now, understand, I was an academic catastrophe in high school because I wasn't passionate about the things I was having to learn. And honestly, I had a lot of distractions, and baseball was my life. But coming out of school with a solid D average and a whopping high of an ACT score of 16, there was a lot of people that didn't think I was going to be much in life, which looking at it from their perspective, I get it. But see, they didn't know me. They didn't know that I was wired a little different that way. Whenever I got out of high school and I found the things that I loved and I started pursuing life in my way, and understanding that I was learning things and teaching myself things, all of a sudden life became a little bit more clear. And I understood that having that faith that whatever it is I'm trying to figure out will come. I just got to keep going. Man, I realized having the compassion for other people was the gift. It was the gift. It was priceless. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't have gone through and been the things that I was. So I'm going to encourage you. If you're not compassionate for other people, find a way to get there. If you're not one that has a lot of faith in things, find a way to get there. Those are going to be some very important words with definition that you're going to need to apply to your life if you're going to be able to be sustainable in this world. It's tough. The world is tough. I'm not telling you something you don't know probably. If you're watching this podcast, you probably have a million stories of your own of things you've gone through, your family's gone through, friends have gone through. Life's not easy. It's got to be intentional. You got to stay focused. And that a lot of times takes faith. And when you're compassionate for other people, I'm going to tell you something that's full circle back to you. So that was I wanted to drive that point home a lot of different ways. All right. This next thing that I wrote down, because I think I've already kind of spoke about it in my own life, but just to put it into an actual conversation here, just remember, changing direction is not the same thing as quitting. I hear a lot of times, I'm no quitter. I'm no quitter. Okay. Understand, there is a process that people go through. There is a period of time that people will pursue something, and maybe they will go all in on something. And then they realize either A, it's just not working out, or B, it's just not for them, and they want to change direction. That goes back to the things I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast, is where I went through some different programs in that, and it wasn't for me, but I learned something from it. So I changed direction. I wasn't quitting on becoming a cop. Just because you start down a path doesn't mean that you got to stay that path when the path no longer makes sense. Now, look, I'm going to bring it all the way back to full circle on this. I have a student that just completed the advanced level of EMT this past semester. Will not use the name, but I will tell you, it was their 4th attempt at it. 4 attempts. Now, there are a lot of people, they would say, hey, look, that's maybe you should just change your mind. There are a lot of people that would just say, I'm done with this. It's not for me. And that's okay. But if it's tied to your passion, you won't be willing to quit. And that, my friends, is the true story. You know, you may find yourself in a position where you're really fighting and struggling to achieve that thing that you want to achieve, but you're coming up short. And that's where you constantly have to reprioritize, and you have to take a step back and take a breath and think about, is this thing worth it anymore? Is this the direction I need to be going in, or do I need to change directions? And if it's the thing that you want and it's the thing that you desire and you have a passion for it, then you should keep fighting. But pause it right there. Pause it right there, because I want to tell you something. Goals sometimes don't have to change, but the path to the goal may have to change multiple times. I saw a shirt one time, and it had success written at the top of it. And then it had failure, line through it, failure, line through it, failure, line through it. And then it had these arrows drawing up the shirt like it was going to go towards success, and cut off. And about 5 down, all of a sudden, it goes up to the top, and the word is success. Here's the deal. Paths often do need to change. Maybe we need to reevaluate. And that's that part of taking a step back and really seeing the big picture and thinking about how you've been doing something. You know, the classic saying, true form of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Well, I think we do get stuck in a rut sometimes trying to go about something the same way because it's the only way we've ever known it. And thinking outside the box or seeing it differently is tough because we have our lens that we're born with and we see things a certain way. And so not being able to take a step back and consider maybe there's some way else that I could do this, or you're hearing advice from someone else and it's not the kind of advice you're used to, or you can't really see it from their eyes, but you understand that what you're doing is not working. Let me tell you, if it's your passion and the thing you want to do, maybe you should take some advice sometimes. Maybe you should rethink how you're doing it. I'm going to give you a very, very fast example of something that I went through myself. When I'm telling you these things, I'm not saying something from just some wild idea or something I saw on TV or heard on radio. I lived this stuff. I lived it. So that's why I know it's real. It's true. This is real deal Holyfield, baby. I wanted to build a house in the country on some acreage. That was one of my goals in life from a very early age. I always had this dream, this thought that we would have some land and we would ride four-wheelers and build clubhouses. And I grew up in the woods running around barefoot. Back in the day, I could do that. Nowadays, I step on a twig and I'm down for 2 weeks. That's another story. But I just knew that one day I would make this work. I would have this thing that I wanted so bad. And an opportunity came up, and I wanted it in DeSoto County, and I wanted it to be down towards Hernando. And we see in a magazine, back then we had magazines, magazines for property and stuff. It was a while back, over 20 years ago. And I see that there's 8 acres for sale down in Hernando. And it's actually in a price range that I could finance. Didn't have money for it, but I could finance it. And I said, I want to get that land. I am going to build a house on that land one day. I'm going to do that. So we go through the bank. We get approved. I get the land. I'm making payments. Now, the problem is we also have a house payment. Now I'm at a point where I've put us, the family, in a very tight spot because we have to pay all of our regular bills, and now I have a land note. But the idea was we were going to sell the house we were in, build on the land. Now it's just one payment, and it's just a little bit more than we've been paying anyways. That was the idea. So, in the meantime, I'm having to work a lot of overtime. This is not going to be a long story, but it's very relative to the path story that I'm trying to explain to you. So I start working overtime. I'm doing everything I can to make the payments, and we are in a tough spot because it's 2009 when the housing market absolutely fell apart. Now we're trying to sell our house. Nobody wants to buy the house, and nobody can afford the house because the housing market's crashed. We end up selling our house and having to pay $6,000 out of pocket. Now, this is probably a little bit too much information, but it's relative. So we sell the house because I'm so determined. I'm so focused on we are going to build on this land. We're going to make this thing happen one way or another. I am determined. I am determined. We sell the house. We move in with the in-laws. And the banks say, sorry, you ain't got enough equity. Housing market's crappy. You don't get approved for a construction loan. So now we don't have a house. And now we're living with my in-laws. And I got some land. I guess I could go get a tent and live on the land, but I got a family. That's not really relative. I can't really do that. Well, some people could. It's not me. I'm not going to lie. So we have to buy another house. We get a house, probably inflated price at the time. Turns out it's a good price now, but inflated price time. We're going to live there. We're going to fix it up. All right. So again, I'm having to hit reset, but I'm still grinding. I'm still holding on to the land. I'm still holding on to the dream. I have this goal in mind. We live in the house for 4 years. We work hard. We fix it up. We put it up for sale. Now I've got equity. I've got equity in the house. We put it up for sale. Person says, yeah, we're going to buy the house. Got to be out in 2 weeks. Boom. We move out everything out of the house in 2 weeks. One day before closing, they call me up and say, hey, we can't get it. And they back out. Now we're moved out of the house. We still own it, but we're moved out. 6 weeks go by, no other offers. No other offers. So now what? The dream is still there. So now I'm starting to question, is the dream worth it? Is the goal the same? Do I still have the same passion? Do I still have the same vision? The answer was yes. So we moved everything back into the house that we were in. We worked for 2 more years, fixing things up, renovating things. Things had changed. The housing market had changed. Being able to finance had changed. And instead of us moving everything out, I thought to myself, the goal's the same. The vision's the same. But I can't do things the same way. How can I do it different? I had to take a step back. So I took a step back and I thought about it for a minute, and it dawns on me. Maybe you should go to the bank. Use the equity in the house that you're living in to get the construction loan. Start construction. Once construction has started on your new house, then sell your old house. Use the money from the equity. Put that into the new house. Boom! And you can make it happen. And guess what? It worked. But it worked so well that it sold immediately, and we didn't have a house while it was being constructed. Now, that's a whole nother story for another day. We ended up living in a camper. That led to a lot of life adventure. But the point is, I'm there today. I'm there in the house that I had a dream for. It took us over 10 years. It took over 10 years to make it happen. Perseverance mattered. The ability to stay focused on the goal, but sometimes you gotta change the path to the goal. Do you feel me? All right, let's move on to the next part. Life is short. Kids, take chances. That's it. Life is short. We've hit on this. Take chances. If you are trying to mitigate every possible problem without ever giving that thing a chance, chances are it'll never be a thing. Take chances. Step out. Get out of your comfort zone. Go for it. If you have an idea, you have a dream, you have a thought, go for it. Like I said, you can redirect. You may have to reevaluate. You can always redirect, but you're going to learn something along the way and you won't live with regret because you only get this one shot. You don't want to be 85 years old looking up, thinking to yourself, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? You got to go for it. Go for it today. You're 18, 19, 20, 25 years old, 30 years old. If you have a dream, if you have an idea, if you have a thought, take a step. We have a whole podcast called Cannonballing Life. Do you know that's all about taking the chances, not just standing back and watching everybody else? Life is a participation game. Stop being the person on the sidelines watching everybody else do their thing. Get out there and make it happen. That's what you got to do. You got to take chances and you got to go for it. All right. You got to stay flexible. You got to be adjustable. Stay flexible and being adjustable simply means this. As you are starting to grow and you're starting to experience things, you got to allow yourself to bend and flex. You can't be rigid. You can't be straight line. You can't put on blinders. You got to pay attention to all things and you got to go for it. Sometimes you got to be able to bend a little. You got to be able to go in a different direction in a way that you never thought possible. That, my friend, is adjustment. I'm going to give you a little story. This is fun. Here we go. I'm getting a drink of water. Y'all mind if I get a drink of water? We've been talking for a minute here. I got to get a drink of water. Hallelujah. Amen. Here we go. There was a captain once. He traversed the Bermuda Triangle several times over a long period of years. This is actually an interview I'll watch once. Interviewers asking the boat captain what it was about him that had kept him from having an issue or capsizing. Because as you may know about the Bermuda Triangle, a lot of planes go down, a lot of ships go down. They say it's unpredictable weather, pops up suddenly, pulls you down, etc. And the interviewer, this is what stuck with me. He's asking this boat captain, what was it about? The knowledge, your skill set, how was it that you've always, were you just lucky? And there was a pause, and the boat captain says, anticipation. Over the years, he had learned how to anticipate what was going to happen before it happened and cut it off before it was a problem. That's adjustable and flexibility. You got to be able to anticipate. When you step out there and you start doing something, it doesn't matter what it is. You should be learning lessons. That way, whenever you face those types of things in the future, and it doesn't have to be exactly the same thing, suddenly you can look back and think to yourself, hey, this is where we are. I've got to be careful that that is going to happen and anticipate the possible problems and cut them off before it happens. That is not to say that you should be hesitant to taking chances. Now, to relate this to my life, I was a pretty decent paramedic, I thought, coming out of school. I had studied super hard. I had applied myself, and whenever I was in clinical settings, I wasn't on the wall. I was in the middle of the fray trying to figure out as much as I could, asking as many questions as possible. So whenever I got out there and I was the one responsible, I wanted to feel prepared. Now, granted, you're always going to feel like you're not prepared even when you are, because it's like literally life and death. But what made me better and better and better was paying attention to the situation, to the symptoms, to the problems at hand, to paying attention to the surroundings. I started being able to anticipate the problems coming before they actually happened. And when you can cut a problem off before it takes place, you're always going to be ahead of the game. So that's what I'm going to tell you, kids. Be adjustable, be flexible, but learn to anticipate. Learn to anticipate, and that takes practice, that takes reps, and that takes paying attention to what's going on. All right, here we are. We're at the end of the show, 40 minutes in, and I think we're doing pretty good here. I think we've had a really good show. I want to leave you guys with the final 3 ingredients. These are the most important ingredients that you could ever have in your life. And if you apply these 3 ingredients to everything you do, it will go back to all these things we've discussed today, and you will find that you will be more successful than not using this as a mindset. Everything is about a mindset. Being positive is a mindset. Being motivated is a mindset. You have to build it into yourself. You wake up every day, you got to tell yourself you're going to have a good day. If you wake up and say today's going to suck, guess what? Today's probably going to suck. Do I wake up every day excited, happy, and ready to go? No, I have a lot of things going on. I have aches and pains. I've got stuff, but I have to make the decision. I'm going to make the best today that I possibly can. And the only way I can do that is to be staying focused on some ideas. And the mindset that I have, these 3 ideas: apply to everything. I've spoke recently to a high school, Lewisburg High School, gave those students this information. I got to tell you something. High school students sometimes hit or miss. They may be listening. They may not. They may be looking at their phone. They could have their iPods in, their sleep. We don't know what's happening. But I will try to connect with at least a handful, because that's the other thing. Realize you're going to make some people happy along the way. You're also not going to make everybody happy. That's okay. That's life. It's fine. Get over it. Move on. That's what I do. I go in and I try to deliver a message. I try to plant some seeds of positivity. Hopefully they take root. For a lot of times, I do know they do, because those kids will respond back to me. Here it is. First thing, number one ingredient, number one that you must have to be successful at anything is hard work. If you are not willing to work hard at something, then it's not going to happen. And if you don't have to work hard to make it happen, it probably wasn't worth working toward. You see, I've never known anyone that's done something that was super easy and they bragged about it to everybody. Hey, man, you know what? Today, I checked my mail. If you check your mail every day, you have no problems getting to your mailbox. It's not an exciting thing. Now, let's flip that. Let's say you've been in an accident. You've had some issues. You can't walk 5 feet. All of a sudden, you go down and check the mail, come back, you tell people, hey, I checked my mail. You overcame something difficult. That's the point I'm making. If you yourself, not somebody else, this is not about other people, this is about you. If you are not accomplishing something that was super hard for you to get to, it's probably not worth it. You got to work hard. And the only way to do that is push yourself outside of your comfort zone. You know, if a person runs 5 miles every single day, they go run a 5 mile, or they come back and say, hey, I ran 5 miles, no big deal. A person that has been sitting on the couch doing nothing their entire life, they work up to and finish their first time ever a 5 miler. People are cheering. Get what I'm saying here? This is an individual journey. It's not about everybody around you. It's not a competition that way. It's about you. You're in competition with yourself, being better, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And if you're not having to work hard to accomplish something, it's probably not worth your time. And if it's something that's a passion, and it's difficult, and you got to focus, and you got to adjust, and you got to anticipate, and you got to work hard, chances are it's worth your time. Next thing, part 2, determination. If you're not determined, and I mean stubborn, I mean so bad that nothing's going to get in your way, you're not going to give up on this thing. If it's your passion, you're just going to have to redirect, refine. 10 years to build a house. Redirect, refine another way. You got to be determined. You got to be very sold out to perseverance. I've said this so many times on different episodes. So if you've heard it before, good, because it still plays. Water does not cut a hole through a rock because of its power. It cuts a hole through the rock because of its persistence. You see, the longer you're able to continue doing something, the more that you stay focused on that, the more that you still keep that passion stirred up and you keep working towards that goal, it's going to happen. Most people just give up before they get there because it was hard. Look, if it's not hard, it ain't worth working toward. You got to work hard, but you got to be determined. Quick, relatable story. Ran a 50 miler once. If you haven't heard it, go back. It's on another Motivate with Coach Camp podcast back in the day. Rode a 50 miler. 18 minutes in, I thought about quitting. Why? Because it became harder than I anticipated. I didn't expect it to be muddy. I didn't expect it to be pitch dark. I didn't expect myself to suddenly fall down 15 times in the mud and get hurt. I wanted to give up. Was it because I couldn't keep going? No, because it was harder than I thought. But you know what I had to do? Be stubborn. I had to suddenly become determined. I knew what goal I had set out to do, and nothing had gotten in my way that was going to stop me from it at that point other than me, my mindset. See, I could have given up. That'd have been easy to do. And who else would have cared? Nobody. But I would have. It went back to me. Do you see how I'm saying lead by example? It went back to me. I wasn't doing it for someone else. That's what I realized. I was like, am I going to give up this easy on this thing because it's hard? I came out here to do something that was hard. So it's harder than I thought. Well, don't quit. Keep going. That's what you got to do. Work hard, stay determined. Last one, third most important, and this is the most important ingredient in your life when it comes to these things. I'm not exclude family, faith. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about a mindset. Okay, don't get distracted. I had a person who was, well, God's the most important. Yes, God is most important. Yes, but that's not a mindset I'm trying to give you. I'm giving you a mindset thought process right here. Self-discipline. Number one. So what is self-discipline? I asked the students this recently. Some got close, But I want to keep it really, really simple to the answer, to the definition. Self-discipline is forcing yourself to do the thing you know you need to do, especially when you don't want to do it. Building self-discipline. I got news for you. That is so hard. That is so hard. You can have a passion for something. You can care about something. You can be determined. You can have worked hard many times over. But there are those days you get up and you know you need to do 1, 2, and 3. And you got to get them done. But somehow you procrastinate and you find a way not to do them. And you say you can do them tomorrow or you can do them next week. And so you push it off. All of a sudden, that thing becomes less and less important to you. You become less and less determined. You work less and less hard. You have to be self-disciplined. Do you understand how hard that is? You should. Because if you don't, that means you've never tried to be self-disciplined. You've just allowed yourself to do the thing that's easy all the time. And that goes back to the very beginning of this. You can't be proud of something that wasn't hard. It's impossible. You're not really. It's a fake pride. You should be proud of the things you've accomplished that are difficult, but you got to put yourself in those positions. Okay? Academic wise. If you're going to school and the material is super easy, do something harder. Physically, if you're running 5 miles every day and it's easy, do something harder. Run a 50 miler. Let me tell you something. Self-discipline requires you to stay focused. It requires you to be intentional. When you wake up, if you're trying to battle your weight and you've got to be determined to lose this weight, whenever that thing that's your weakness, whatever it is, I'm going to tell you what mine is. It's ice cream. And I'm looking at ice cream and I know I'm trying to shed 10 pounds off because I got a race coming up. I got to walk away from that ice cream. That is not easy to do, but that's self-discipline. And if you don't intentionally put things in your life that require you to stay focused and fight through whenever you know you don't want to do it, it's real easy to forget it. And it's real easy to get away from it. So I'm going to give you my self-discipline measure. I run 2 miles every day, hands down, no questions asked. Going on 3.5 years. Next month, it will be 3.5 years. I have not missed a single day. 365 days a year, unless it was a leap year. I don't know if there was one in there. I've not missed a single day. This is nasal surgery. This is dealing with COVID. Now, if you have an injury from the waist down, I broke my leg or something, I wouldn't be able to do it. I always end every day by saying this. And I ran my 2 miles before I came in here today. One day, but not today. Because I do realize life doesn't go on forever. I do realize the thing you're doing now that you're consistent with, that you're staying focused on, is not going to always be able to be there forever. I understand that. I recognize that. And that's why I appreciate it. So whenever I finish 2 miles, I will always say one day, but not today. Now, I don't always run 2 miles. Some days I run 5. Some days I run 10. But I can promise you I will run 2 until the day I can't. And that's the thing. It will be a situation where I can't do it. There's something that has completely prevented me from being able to do it. But there have been many, many days in 3.5 years I did not want to do it. But I made myself. And that's what I'm going to ask you guys. Find something out there that maybe it's not that easy, but it's doable. And stay on it constantly. Reading a book, 15 minutes a day, whatever that is. Whatever it is. Meditate 10 minutes a day. Stretch. Whatever it is that requires you to stay intentional, stay focused, and do the thing every day. Stay focused. Self-discipline. Hey, hard work, determination, self-discipline. Those are the ingredients that will keep you successful. Stay focused out there. Young people, the world is yours to have now. My generation, we're starting to fade. We're getting on up there a little bit. You guys got to come in here. It's going to be a lot of challenges, but I'm going to tell you something. People get caught up in the moment. Look, we went through a Revolutionary War. We went through a Civil War. We went through civil rights. We've been through all kinds of wars across the entire world. Today's world is not crazier than it's been at some other point in time in life. It's just in your face a lot more because of phones. I'm going to tell you guys, you have the tools. Listen to some good advice. Get out there, work hard, stay focused, be determined. And in the end, if you are self-disciplined, I promise you, you can achieve and you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. I'm living proof of that. I hope that this has been encouraging to you. I hope that you guys continue to tune in and watch. I love being able to be a part of this and have this microphone to at least share a couple of moments of positivity with you guys. Please go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com. Subscribe to my YouTube. And until next time, Coach Camp out.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape,